obviously you had the hot take shows on ESPN this week. Like they're asking Tebow, who would you rather have, Patrick Mahomes or Derrick Henry? And then of course, Twitter. This is exactly what they want. Twitter's going, blah, 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 running backs don't make, blah, blah. And then Derrick Henry comes out and throws for more touchdowns than Patrick Mahomes does.
Hello and welcome to Monkey Night Fight Live, folks. We got Joe Dolan on air. It's Monday. That means we're talking Monday Night Football. Fantasy Points' very own Joe Dolan. Joe, how did your weekend go?
All right. I went to see a concert on Saturday night, so I was a little unplugged for a little bit. But of course, you get unplugged and you miss stuff like the Darren Waller news that came out Saturday. And so Sunday I'm scrambling around. But you need a little. We saw a couple of NFL players this year take a mental health break, and sometimes you need that. I went up to Asheville, North Carolina to see a concert, so that was a lot of fun. And but I'm back at it this week, and this is week 8. We're 40% into the season. It's unbelievable how you guys said just another week gone, and it seems like it takes forever, but each week seems to go so quick.
Yeah, what would you say your biggest takeaway from week 7 would be outside of the Titans not needing the 5.5 points over KC?
Yeah, how about that, by the way? No, I just thought like it was one of those weeks where you came into the week and you were like, oh man, it's a really bad. Sorry, Crimpet here is.
I love it.
Hi, Crimpet. Say hi, Crimp. When you came into the week thinking, man, this is a really bad slate of games, and it turned out to be a bad slate of games. I mean, just some games are just totally Texans Cardinals non-competitive, Jets Patriots non-competitive. Even the game which I thought was the game of the week, Bengals Ravens non-competitive.
I had that as my game of the week too. What happened? Where were the Ravens?
I just think it's one of those things where somebody tweeted yesterday, nobody is good. It's just like, it's one of those things. You go, oh, the Ravens, Lamar's going to win the MVP and they're going to win the Super Bowl. And then the Bengals spank them on the road. It's a division game. Just unbelievable. Bucks Bears non-competitive. That game was obviously not supposed to be competitive. Titans Chiefs was uncompetitive. So, just the surprisingly competitive was the Lions and the Rams, because the Lions did some fun things, but ultimately it was not a pretty week. Some good players didn't lay an egg. Some great players went off, Jamar Chase, but ultimately, you had the fewest games of the year, and it was just not a pretty week of football.
No, the 425 games, they ramped up a bit. You got to see Tom Brady just thrash the Bears, so that was fun. You got to see the Cardinals, remain perfect, go 7-0. So that's always a fun thing. And Derrick Henry threw a touchdown pass. He can literally
that was
do
funny.
It all.
Because obviously you had the hot take shows on ESPN this week. Like they're asking Tebow, who would you rather have, Patrick Mahomes or Derrick Henry? And then of course, Twitter. This is exactly what they want. Twitter's going, blah, 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 running backs don't make, blah, blah. And then Derrick Henry comes out and throws for more touchdowns than Patrick Mahomes does. I just thought, oh God, it was I had to chuckle at that one, because everybody's like, I can't believe they're talking about this. And then he goes nuts. And then Derrick Henry, Patrick Mahomes plays awful. Derrick Henry throws a touchdown pass. Oh yeah.
I just want to make sure we get that quote down correct. Can you just repeat that phrase?
Yeah. So let me go slow.
Okay.
It's running back from MVP, not going to get neither. And then Derrick, I just thought it was funny. No, I wouldn't rather have Derrick Henry than Patrick Mahomes. I would for fantasy. But I just think that it's so funny. We have to do all this hand wringing every year. Is this the year Derrick Henry? The touches are going to fall off. And the answer to the question was actually the guy should have been the number 1 overall pick in fantasy. There was a point early in the offseason I was just drafting Derrick Henry so much in best ball because I kept getting the 3rd and the 4th pick, and I was like, I had to go pivot to Kamara and pivot to Cook, and when the answer to the test was Derrick Henry all along.
I love the Ace Ventura Pet Detective. Just you got the dog coming in. Do you remember that? Have you seen that movie where he's in the garden?
I literally watched Ace Ventura for the first time like 6 months ago, and I didn't like it very much. I just thought nothing happened. Like, no, and I'm a Jim Carrey fan. I'm a liar. I love liar.
Dan Marino is in that movie.
I know.
Ray Finkel, the greatest kicker in the history of American football, is in that movie. Goodness gracious, Joe.
Yeah, I wasn't fond of it. I just thought it was like Carrey just being the goofiest he could possibly be, which I mean is entertaining, but yeah, there's Jim Carrey movies I like more. Sorry.
Yeah, well, the Grinch is coming to steal my hopes and dreams from my birthday with that comment. But here we go, Saints and Seahawks. What a slate! What a slate this will be. Should be pretty entertaining from the monkey knife fight standpoint. You got a Seattle team that's given up the most yards per game in the NFL this season, over 433 yards per game. Yikes. But on the other side of the ball, you have a Jameis Winston that's thrown for over 230 yards just once this season, but he's thrown for 4 or more touchdown passes twice in 5 games. Just a wacky matchup to look at on paper because both these teams have been, hit and miss this season. Geno Smith hasn't won a game as a starting quarterback since 2014. So, I mean, starting with the quarterbacks, I'm going to take the less and the less.
Yeah.
I think the 12th man in Seattle is going to make a difference. And I don't trust Geno Smith going up against the second best defense in the NFL that has the best red zone defense, that knows how to stop the run, that can stop the pass. Yeah, I'm riding with the less and the less train. Yeah. Mr. Joe Dolan, how you see it?
So I think one of the things that you have to look at here when you're talking about this game is the pace. Only one team in the NFL this year has run fewer plays per game than the New Orleans Saints. That's the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh. So
these are the two slowest paced in terms of plays per game, lowest volume offenses in the NFL. Less. That's, I mean, that, the problem is I can't justify, but if I was going to take a more here, it would be Jameis, only because Seattle's pass defense. But Sean Payton would love to come out here and run 27 plays and call it a day. The one thing, no Taysom Hill, maybe that pushes Jameis more. I don't think this number is egregious, but just think, the weather is supposed to be god-awful. The same crap that was in San Francisco last night is going to be in Seattle. I just think less and less is probably your best bet. I mean, if the weather's bad, these teams are slow. They don't have weapons. I guess the Saints are getting Traquan Smith back. I mean, have fun. But no, this is a less and less situation here for me.
Yeah, well, even when, you have Geno Smith back in the pocket with 32 pass attempts last week, he only converts that into 210 yards. If he's throwing 32 times and he's only getting 210 yards out of it, I really like the less on a stormy night in Seattle. I think it's going to be a running game. And I think the most passing yards are actually going to be to Alvin Kamara out of the backfield. Lots of screen passes. It's going to be loud with the 12th man, which means you're going to want to run the ball. You're going to have a game script coming in. And based on what I've seen, the no Taysom Hill, you said it, I think it's going to be a run-heavy script featuring Mr. Alvin Kamara. And a slow-paced game, which would in turn be a very quick game because the clock's always running, is what I'm feeling here as well. And that's why I'm going to take the more on the Alvin Kamara line, because I think it's a tight one. 85 to 95 yards tonight is the sweet spot for Alvin Kamara, I think, on the ground. I think he's going to be a huge factor with the screen passes, the swing passes, or the backfield. As I said, when you're on the road in the loud environments, it's a lot easier to know where your running back's going to be than a receiver making a cut downfield 15 to 12 yards. So I think Alvin Kamara will get involved in the passing game, but I do like his more on his rushing total.
I like the less on the rushing yards. And the reason here is I agree with you. I think the passing game will be important, but do they view the swing passes, the screen game as, the surrogate for the run game? Alvin Kamara's topped 91.5 rushing yards just once this year. But if this was a total yardage kind of wager, I think I'd probably be inclined to take the more depending on what the total yardage is. But unfortunately here, I think the 91.5 is a little too low for me.
See, just from what I'm seeing from Seattle's defense, What I'm seeing from Seattle's defense, like as I said, I like the 85 to 95 yard sweet spot, and just 433 yards given up per game this season is horrendous. And a guy like Alvin Kamara can make people miss, and I think he could get half of that in one big run realistically tonight. So that's why I'm gonna lean with the game script that I see, and I'm sticking with the more there. As for DK Metcalf, I don't like the yard total. I was looking at his reception line. I believe it was 4.5. He's Geno Smith's guy. I think he's going to get a good 50 yards tonight. 58, I think, is just asking too much. So I'm going to have to ride with less on the DK Metcalf. Joe Dolan, how do you see it?
I think I'm going to go more only because I think he's the guy Geno Smith looks for. Like, I think Geno Smith could throw for 180 and DK Metcalf has 78 of those yards. Like, I think it's that kind of game. Tyler Lockett's been banged up. I'm going to go with the more for Metcalf only because I think that's the guy Geno looks for.
Well, I'm completely with you on that, right? You see the targets last week. He got 7 targets, but he only got 58 yards last week. Now you're taking on a Saints defense they're pretty darn good against the pass. They're good at getting into the quarterback's face. I think they're tied for the 12th most quarterback pressures this season. Geno Smith did not look good. As a matter of fact, he was fumbling footballs under pressure left, right, and center last week. I have to go with the less because it's got nothing to do with DK Metcalf. I think 50 yards is the sweet spot, as I said. I just don't trust Geno Smith. Bad weather, getting the ball out against a good defense that's going to be coming after him all game long.
Yeah, and I think the same thing is kind of in play here for Tyler Lockett. I think I feel better about Metcalf's catches as well. Tyler Lockett, I'm going with the less here. Now that's a little bit crazy for me because his targets have been good. He's had 10 and 7 in the last 2 games, but he's only caught 7 of those 17 targets. So he's been dinged up. He's gone under 4.5 receptions in 4 of 6 games this year. And in the other one, he actually caught 5. So we went just over. So he has been teetering on this less for most of the season. I think the less is the play for Tyler Lockett here. In case you're wondering, have you noticed a trend with this bad weather and these quarterbacks and this pace? I think Connor and I are, Connor, we're very much on the same page here.
Yes, I think so. And I think you nailed it with Tyler Lockett. And I agree with you. There is a Metcalf line where I do like the more. I believe it was 5.5 targets. I think he gets 6 catches. He had 7 last week, as I said. But Ty Lockett, we saw it in the first 2 weeks of the season. I think he averaged most yards per reception. He's the home run hitter. You're not going to be throwing a home run ball. Geno Smith is not going to be throwing home run balls in a Seattle gale on Monday night. I just don't see it. I apologize. It's not a knock on Geno Smith. It's going to be a tough game against a tough defense in tough weather. Your deep shot guys, Tyler Lockett. We've seen him lean towards DK Metcalf, as you say. The target share has been towards DK Metcalf. I don't see Lockett catching 5 balls in a terribly, terrible weather for a football game. As for the running game, though, Collins, wow, he looked good last week, averaged over 5 yards per carry. He's a little dinged up, but I think he's going to play. And I think we're going to also see a lot of Penny because Penny came off the IR. So I don't like, based on the usage, I think the Seattle Seahawks are going to need to establish the run in a game like this, obviously with Geno Smith under center. If Collins was the lone back again and he isn't banged up, I love that more. But Penny coming back from the IR, Collins being a little dinged up, 46.5 yards against this really good Saints defense, which I can't stress enough, obviously, because I've said it umpteen times. I sound like a mom repeating herself. The Saints defense is really good, guys.
Yeah.
I'm taking the less on Collins there because of the Penny factor, because of the injury factor, and because I said it one more time for you. The Saints.
I like the more here, and I think it might be a dumb bet just because of the injuries, as you mentioned, and Penny coming back. But thought Alex Collins looked really good last week against Pittsburgh, and if Alex Collins can play, I think Pete Carroll's going to give him the football. So I'm going to take the more here with Alex Collins.
Yeah, well, I alluded to it right off the top, right? He had over 5 yards per carry last week against a really good Steelers defense, or a historically mean Steelers defense. It's not an easy team to run the ball against historically, and he ripped them off for over 100 yards. So it was a great game, and he's always a threat. But Penny's coming back. I'm just not sure, and I feel like the less is just the safer play. It's a safe day Monday. The Sunday scaries kicked in, as you said, after your concert. I'm feeling the Monday, the moody Mondays. I'm going with the less. I'm a big less guy today.
So yeah, you're across the board with everything but Kamara. I'm a little more optimistic. I like DK Metcalf and Alex Collins to go more, but this is not going to be. If you were entertained by last night's game with the conditions, this is a redux. This is a sequel. The conditions are going to be nasty in this game.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's also mainly because they're all Seahawks. And if I'm looking at this game, I see the Saints controlling the pace of play. I see them running the ball, quick passes to Kamara, chewing the clock down. As you said, fewest plays in the NFL from two teams combined are going toe-to-toe. Let me ask you this, Joe. Is it a Squid Game night again, like Thursday?
Well, I finished Squid Game, so I'm gonna.
So it's
over
over for you. You don't even care anymore.
Yeah, I'll put something else on. I'll figure something else out. I'm sure I'll tune in just to see what's going on. I have some Kamara, I have some Metcalf going tonight in fantasy matchups, but maybe it'll be so sloppy it'll be entertaining. But oh boy, this is setting up to be another crap fest in honestly a week where we've had some really ugly football and some really ugly primetime games.
Yeah, well, if I could pick your brain here for a prediction, I guess we kind of both have laid down our game script, a very similar game script, a run first from both teams. Seattle's 12th man is always a factor, and that's the one reason why I was hesitant to pick the Saints going in, but I like the Saints to come out low-scoring game. I like the under of what – I don't even care what it is. It's like that Thursday night game.
It's 12 under.
Yeah, I saw the under for that Thursday night game at 41.5, and I was like, yeah, give me that, please. And I saw it right before kickoff. It dropped to like 39.5, and I was like, yes, thank you so much. I would still take that. But yeah, this is one of those games. I like 17-13 Saints on the road. Alvin Kamara will be a difference maker, I think, tonight. When everyone's slipping and sliding over the field, he'll be slipping and sliding out of tackles. So I like Alvin Kamara to put a dent in Pete Carroll's. The one thing the Seahawks have going for them is history. Pete Carroll is 11-2 on Monday Night Football, the best record in the NFL since 2010. So you got history on your side. You don't have the players.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's got it. If you're going to win an ugly game, I think Pete Carroll probably. This is he's dragging the Saints into his own bull ring here. The Bane thing, like you adopted the darkness. I was born in it, shaped by it.
Really adopted the dark.
Yeah, this is Seattle has adopted. Seattle I was born and was shaped by this. Jameis, I don't know if he's cut out for this. It could be a really ugly one. I do not expect a lot of points in this game.
You think Geno Smith is cut out for this? The guy hasn't won a game as a starter since 20.
Oh no, I'm just saying I think the atmosphere might be better. Yeah.
Oh, I see. So are you taking the Seahawks then?
Yeah, I am. An ugly one.
Wow, I can't wait to see you next week. I think that's the first time we've ever gone opposite on the final pick. So we see the similar game script, but fantasy points very own Joe Dolan taking the world, the gale, the hurricane, the Kraken of Seattle. All the players were at that hockey game the other night for their introduction into the NHL. But yeah, it's gonna be a tough one in Seattle, folks. I'm leaning Saints. You heard it from Joe Dolan himself. Joe, any final thoughts on the game going into Monday night?
Let me just say this. Go to the liquor store first. If you're going to be watching this one, especially if you're a Saints or a Seahawks fan. Seahawks fans, I think, have since Russell Wilson got hurt, I think they've sold out the liquor stores in Washington. I think they have.
My uncle, I hope he's not tuned into this show because he's a diehard Seahawks fan over in Edmonton, Alberta, and his entire basement is like a hawk's nest. He's not going to talk to me for like 3 weeks after this. I guarantee you, because he just heard me take.
Well, and then of course, you had the Jay Glazer reports that Russell Wilson still wants out. So
yeah,
I mean, is this the death throes of the Seattle Seahawks? A very successful 10-year run with Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson, and it might be.
There's a storm brewing in Seattle, folks, not just in the sky for Monday Night Football, but in the front office, obviously. Joe Dolan, thanks for the notes. Always appreciate you coming on the show, and we'll see you next Monday. Folks, I'm Connor Rowntree, and remember to hit it hard.